that coming out of there?
Steve, come back. Indeed. We have increased our size 200-fold. No, I didn't even bring it up with Kevin here because I felt like still not. But look, the reality is this whole year, as far as I'm concerned, was gravy. Right? It would have been nice to see them not get shellacked in the last game, but I went into that with I would consider reasonable expectations that we were not winning that game. Especially in Philly, especially with, them all whipped up for a night game. I mean, everything. But I think that it's like all things in football, right? You could second guess every decision, including the going for it on fourth. I'm all for aggressive. Especially when you got nothing to lose, why not be, right? First quarter, I would have probably.
Is this on up there?
Should be. Check your.
Because, I didn't hear any. I hope the battery's not dead in my guitar. That is a possibility.
Well, in any case, it'll generally pick up from you just playing it without it.
Okay.
Strum it for a second.
It is.
I can go upstairs and adjust it if you want. Or you can actually probably just from here. Yeah, that's probably what we need to do is adjust.
Okay.
You know the main difference is I've been putting the speakers directly in your ear anymore, so it may sound like
That's probably the difference. Is I'm like, I can't hear anything.
Yeah, no. If you want, I can push it back though.
No, it's okay.
helpful to have because we don't have monitors, so we really have no idea how loud we are at any point.
Oh, and ever. I'll be right back.
It's always a bit of a guess, but yeah, I think that whole momentum shift very early in the game is very hard to dig yourself out of, and we already knew going into it, right, that they were going to have this kind of D line that was just going to be pinning their ears back. So once you're down in a game like that, and they know you're throwing, without a doubt. And look, the other piece of it, though, and I said this very clearly, which is hard for me to say. I'll wait for Nicole and David to come in. They were the better team. All right, let's just be honest about that part of it also. Okay, this is a very good team. So long as they don't come in overconfident, right? Because you know what it reminded me of? I didn't say anything to my friend who's an Eagles fan, but I was like, this reminds me of the NFC Championship game in 2000 when we shellacked the Vikings, right? And every one of us thought it's exactly right? Or even the week before, when we were really dominating. That's exactly right. And you think basically that every game is going to go like this, but San Francisco is a tough team. They're a tough team. But when you have an untested guy at quarterback, who knows? But the only piece I would just say is even though I had prepared myself and I knew and I don't know how your dad is taking it, but I imagine it was a tough week. But I think what I come back to is that I just, once your team is gone, it takes a little bit out of the playoff stuff. And I was so excited. I was like, I'm actually really into this year. I actually have a little bit of time and a little bit of energy to really get into it, and not to be. But but you got to have in life, I guess, perspective of some sort or the other. Yeah, I was going to say, now you're on to baseball. I'm a Mets fan. Yeah. No, my dad was a diehard Brooklyn Dodgers fan. So when they left, for him, actually, it was sort of the end of everything until the Mets came around. And even then, he's not exactly, the reason I love sports is because of my brother, not because of my father, that's for sure. But, that tinge of still hating the Yankees is there. It's really funny for a guy who was a total pacifist, right? He never uses these terms about anything. Every once in a while. But the Mets he really embraced. And I love, I miss Shea, because I loved Shea, it's what I grew up with. But I think they did a very nice job of trying to recreate some of that Ebbets Field feel to it. But, yeah. But I haven't really been paying attention to this offseason, so I don't know. I mean, a lot of trades, right? It's feel like I looked at it the other week, and I was like, half of these guys are gone, half of these other guys I've never even heard of, but we'll see. And the Mets have never, in my experience, done terribly well by relying on money. That doesn't seem to solve their problems. It's well, that's the thing. Or I guess if we're going to be comparing it to the greatest of farm systems, that's the other challenge, right? When the guys across town and basically have 50 years worth of people waiting in the wings, it's tough. That's also true. Definitely, there was a terrible terrorist shooting in East Jerusalem tonight, or I guess it was tonight in Israel, and several people have been killed, and others who are in critical condition. And of course, in these moments, all we can do is extend our hearts and our souls to our family in Israel, and also to understand again that we're in a real dangerous time. And there is always something of a powder keg situation, but it feels like there is really a concern that things could get worse from here. So our prayers this Shabbat, I think, in addition to everything else that we're praying for, let us also really pray for the present and the future of the state of Israel, and for hopefully the terrible violence of the last few days to come to a conclusion and to figure out another way forward. But in the meanwhile, really our main consideration is for the families and for those that have lost and those that are suffering while watching others who may be passing, and really just heartbreaking once again. So we come into Shabbat obviously with something of a heavy heart, but as we've always done in our case in this community, that Shabbat is also our opportunity to be together in community and to share our love of Judaism and to share our both greatest pains and our greatest hopes with God. So I hope that we'll use this time in as meaningful and effective way as we can. And I think actually very apropos that we are going to be using a lot of Debbie's melodies tonight, and that a lot of her work really was very much in trying to figure out how to help people, how to help herself, how to help all of us, especially in moments of really great pain. So I'm very grateful that we have Cantor Kevin with us tonight, because he is definitely more the expert in the field than I am. But we'll get our service started as we always do, first on page 120 with our candle blessings. Again, page 120.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehatlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. We'll turn to page 130 now as we begin Kabbalat Shabbat, very top of the page.
Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Naria, naria, לצור ישנו, מקדמה פניו בתודה. Naria, naria, לצור ישנו, בזמירות נריע לו. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני. לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה, לכו נרננה לאדוני.
We're now on page 131, Shiru Ladonai.
At the bottom, let's do
Yismachu. Yismachu at the very bottom.
Hashemayim. I'm liking that one a lot more lately.
Good. That works.
ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ישמחו השמיים, ותגל הארץ. ירם הים, ירם הים, ירם הים ומלואו. ירם הים, Yiram hayam, yiram hayam melo. Yismechu hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, yismechu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz.
We'll turn now to page 132.
זרוע לצדיק ולישרי לב שמחה. אור זרוע לצדיק ולישרי לב שמחה. אור זרוע לצדיק ולישרי לב שמחה. ולישרי לב שמחה. אור זרוע לצדיק ולישרי לב שמחה. ולישרי לב שמחה. יאי די 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 יאי די 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 יאי די יאי די יאי די יאי די 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 יאי די 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 יאי די יאי די יאי די.
We'll turn now to page 134, Zamru Adonai at the very top of the page.
זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור וקול זמרה, בחצוצרות וקול שופר. הריעו לפני המלך אדוני, ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושביבה, בהרות עמך וכף יחד, הרים ירננו. לפני אדוני קיווה, לשפוט הארץ, לשפוט תבל בצדק, ועמים במישרים. ירם הים ומלואו, תבל ויושביבה, בהרות עמך וכף יחד, הרים ירננו.
We'll turn now to page 135, Romamu at the middle of the page in Hebrew.
רוממו אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו להר קודשו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו להר קודשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו רוממו. רוממו אדוני אלוהינו וישתחוו להר קודשו.
Turn now to L'chadodi on page 138. We'll do the first, second, fifth, and ninth paragraphs, and for the final paragraph, we'll rise and face towards the rear of the room.
לך דודי לקראת קלה ידלי 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 פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה ידלי 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 פני שבת נקבלה. שמור וזכור ודיבור אחד ישמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה, לך דודי לקראת כלה ירדאי 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 בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה ירדאי 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 בני שבת נקבלה לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה כי היא מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה לך דודי לקראת כלה ירדאי 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 בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה ירדאי 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 בני שבת נקבלה התעוררי התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי 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 שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לך דודי לקראת כלה ירדאי 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 בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה ירדאי 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 בני שבת נקבלה בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת כלה ירדאי 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 בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה ירדאי 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 בני שבת נקבלה.
We'll turn now to page 140.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת מזמור שיר ליום השבת טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות עלי עשור ועלי נבל עלי היגיון וכינור להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות עלי עשור ועלי נבל עלי היגיון וכינור מזמור שיר ליום השבת מזמור שיר ליום השבת טוב להודות לאדוני ולזמר לשמך עליון להגיד בבוקר חסדך ואמונתך בלילות עלי עשור ועלי נבל עלי היגיון וכינור
We'll rise for the Chatzi Kaddish on page 144. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah
Amen.
Ve'alma divra chirutei ve'amlich malchutei B'chayechon uvyomechon Uchaye dechol Beit Yisrael Bagala Bagala Uvizman Kariv Veimeru Amen. Yehesh Rabba Mevarach Le'alam Le'almaya Yitbarach Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitbar V'yitramam V'yitnaseh V'yitadar V'yitale V'yitalal Shemei Dekucha
Brichu
Le'ela Min Kol Birchata V'shirata Tushbechata B'nechemata Tamiran Be'alma V'yimeru
Amen.
Barechu et Adonai HaMevorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed.
Please be seated. We'll turn now to page 148. We'll read together in English at the bottom of the page. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening.
ומעביר יום ומביא לילה, מבדיל בין יום ובין לילה. אדוני צבאות שמו, אל חי וקיים, תמיד ימלוך עלינו לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני, המרי ורבי.
Amen. We'll turn now to page 150.
אהבת עולם, בית ישראל, עמך אהבת, עמך אהבת. תורה ומצוות, חוקים ומשפטים, אותנו לימדת, אותנו לימדת. על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו, וקומנו נשיח בחוקיך, ונשמח בדברי תורתך ובמצוותיך לעולם ועד. כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו, ובהם נגה יומם ולילה, נגה יומם ולילה. באהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים. ברוך אתה אדוני, אוהב עמו ישראל, אוהב עמו ישראל.
Turn now to page 152.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושוכבך וקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
We'll turn now to page 157. We'll read together in English at the top of the page. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. We'll turn to page 158.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נהדר בקודש, נורא תהילות עושי פלא, נורא תהילות עושי פלא. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים, זה אלינו ואמרו, זה אלינו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר כי בדע אדוני את יעקב וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
Amen. We'll turn now to page 160, Hashkivenu at the very top of the page.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומר שומרנו לחיים. ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום מעתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים.
Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over Yerushalayim. We'll turn now to page 162.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת לעשות, את השבת לדורותם, ברית עולם, ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבת, שבת וינפש. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, את השבת לעשות, את השבת לדורותם, לדורותם ברית עולם.
I invite us all to rise in body or in spirit as we begin the Amidah together on page 164. From that point on, we'll continue silently. As always, please go at your own pace, and when you're finished, if you're standing at the end, you may be seated.
Adonai, sefatai tiftach, ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
say shalom bimromha huya say shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oh, say shalom bimromav, huya say shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oh, say shalom bimromav, huya say shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen. Oh, say shalom bimromav, huya say shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imeru amen.
Please be seated. We'll turn to page 371 to offer our Mishaberach for this evening. And of course, in a moment, we'll read our Mishaberach list, but tonight especially, we'll extend our hearts to our, either direct or indirect friends and family, especially in Neve Yaakov after this terrible shooting. And we hope and pray for the healing of those who were in critical condition and conditions of various sorts, but also of the families who are suffering right now. In our community tonight, we're thinking of Bensi Tepper, Allison Luckman, Malka Bat Chaya Sura, Michael Klinghofer, Aimee Cass, Warren Cass, Rivka Bat Rachel, Leah Bat Naomi, Gedalia Ben Sylvia, Lorraine Danis, David Dowling, Sivia Devora Bat Francis, Muriel Hirsch, Michelle Sawicki, Francis Kirschman, Shelley Newmark, Diane Axelrod, Gabriella Spicer, Barbara Kushner, David Klopman, Lorraine Davis, Michael Ben Chananya, Devora Bat Sima, Rebecca Snyder, Jeffrey Miller, Shelley Lyman, Deborah Block-Kroll, Sylvia Orn, Stanley Rappaport, Karen Layton, Debbie Bookvar, Carol Javna, Lori Nisanoff, Roberta Kyle, Miriam Batchaya, Dina Batchana, Mindy Cantor, Rebecca Rubin, and Miriam Levy. In addition to the names that I just read out loud, we'll invite those that are with us in the room. If you have additional names to share, we'll start on this side of the room and work towards the rear, and then this room. And if you have names to add, just please raise a hand. And of course, we'll invite those watching at home to add as well. We'll join together with Cantor Kevin on page 371, just in the middle of the page, Mishaberach.
Mishaberach avoteinu mikor habracha leimoteinu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Mishaberach imoteinu mikor haberacha lavoteinu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body Spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
I mean, I would say probably that Debbie's Mishaberach is probably her most well-known single piece in terms of its usage across many different congregations, many
There's
streams.
one that would surprise you that's even more.
Ooh, do tell.
Havdalah.
Ah,
Her
yes,
Havdalah
that her melody, that's true.
The melody.
That's
That is
true.
Debbie's melody, and I've heard it used in just about every space you could imagine.
It's pretty amazing. When you think
Across
about
the
it.
denominations, I have definitely heard that used. Yeah.
Well, very apropos. So, Cantor, I'm going to turn it over to you. Share a few pieces of Debbie Friedman's melodies with us. Would it weird you out if I sat in one of the big crazy chairs?
No, not
okay.
at all.
Just wanted
As
to
long as you find it comfortable.
I'll tell you.
So I essentially just wanted to give a little bit of a sampling of some of Debbie's work. Some of the lesser known at first, and then we'll go into something that I think is a bit more well known and is a good closer. But just really, I'd say soak in the message of the text and really listen to the lyrics, because it's really, as it goes on, she really does paint such an incredible story of where we are now and where she was and where she wanted to see the world go to. And I think that, just titling the song "And the Youth Shall See Visions" really speaks enough to the song that I don't really want to say too much more. So. Childhood was for fantasies, for nursery rhymes and toys. The world was much too busy to understand small girls and boys. As I grew up, I came to learn that life was not a game, that heroes were just people that we called another name. And the old shall dream dreams, and the youth shall see visions, and our hope shall rise up to the sky. We must live for today, we must build for tomorrow. Give us time, give us strength, give us love. Now I'm grown, the years have passed, I've come to understand there are choices to be made, and my life's at my command. I cannot have a future till I embrace my past. I promise to pursue the challenge, time is going fast, and the old shall dream dreams, and the youth shall see visions, and our hope shall rise up to the sky. We must live for today, we must build for tomorrow. Give us time, give us strength, give us life. Today's the day I take my stand, the future's mine to hold. Commitments that I make today are dreams from days of old. I have to make the way for generations come and go. I'll have to teach them what I've learned, so they will come to know that the old shall dream dreams, and the youth shall see visions, and our hope shall rise up to the sky. We must live for today, we must build for tomorrow. Give us time, give us strength, give us life. Give us time, give us strength, give us life. who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy, will reap in joy. Those who sow in tears will reap in joy.
I don't know about all of you, but I needed that tonight. That's just great. And I should say, Kevin, what you were saying at the outset about who Debbie was in life and what she dedicated her work to and her music to was very much that visioning, right? She didn't have the easiest life herself. She didn't live through the easiest of times. She was taken way too early in life. But, her whole life was really dedicated to being in and around synagogues, camps, and in particular around young people. And I think that she found, as a lot of people who are lucky enough or privileged enough to work in professions in which you're constantly in touch with young people, that on, Shabbats like this, where something terrible has just happened, and you sort of try to figure out what do you do differently, and how do you change the reality in some form or the other, in as trite as it seems, right? Sometimes really the only solution is to try to teach the next generation something different, right? Teach them to think differently, to vision for something different than their reality. So I think it's really very, very powerful message, even after she's passed all these years, that it continues to be, and I'm sure this is the case probably, at least in Reform congregations all over the country tonight, so many of them singing the same songs, same melodies, same ideas, and aspiring to something, better than where we are today. I think is a very powerful message. So, Kevin, thank you for preparing it and singing it as beautifully as you did. It's not, just for those that are not, music professionals as Kevin is, not the easiest music to either sing or play, but to do it at the same time is really quite a challenge. So, kol hakavod, as they say. Very, very nicely done. Thank you. I'll invite us now to turn back to our Sidurim, to our prayer books, and we'll rise as we turn to page 586 at the very bottom of the page, Aleinu L'Shabeach. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. We'll turn to page 591. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
Ushemo
Echad. Invite those in mourning, those observing a yard site to please remain standing. Everyone else may be seated at this time. We think first of those who have passed in our community in recent months. Martin Blake, Arlene Eber, Chaim Bear Greenwald, Sandy Greenwald, Jane Beard Cass, Gertrude Katz, Buddy Kossoff, Helene Krotman, Emmanuel Kiprios, David Lieberman, Sandra Luongo, Norma Paulsek, Marvin Schreier, Anita Sheldon, Alan Silver, Sandy Slip, Larry Wartor, Rita Weitzman, Matthew Adam Zimmerman, and Yael Zerdar. We also mark the yard sites that occurred during the last week for Daniel Bernstein, Janet Blum, Judith Brandenburg, Beatrice Barak, Solomon Cohen, Lynn Cowan, Yale Gelman, Rose Katz Grossman, Stanley Hemley, Ruth Hesse, Terry Katz, May Kelman, Jack Klintnick, Joseph Krenick, Barnett Kruger, Samuel Marks, Kate Okun, Murray Potashik, Mary Racklin, Abraham Riskin, Meyer Ritvo, Beverly Ronick, Alan Saltzman, Lola Snyder, Frida Tarlow, Peter Weinstein, Vicky Paul, and Dorothy Klein. In addition to the names that we just read, is anyone else saying Kaddish for anyone we did not mention? I invite the mourners to join with me on page 598. Yitkadal ve'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. Be'alma divra chirutei ve'amlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'b'yomechon u'chaye d'chol Beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'zman kariv ve'imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach la'alam u'li'almei almai. Yitbarach ve'yishtabach ve'yitba'ar ve'yitromam ve'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei d'kudsha barichu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shalom rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mamav. Hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may every one of their memories be for a blessing. Amen. Please be seated. And again, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Some quick announcements before we conclude our service. First is to thank everybody who did join us last night for our presentation with the ADL on the state of hate. I thought it was actually a very informative program, and I really appreciate the leadership of our anti-Semitism committee and of Shelley Lichtenstein, our executive director, who helped to pull the program together. Unfortunately, I think we did not record it, which is my one big mistake from last night. But let's just say the state of hate, unfortunately, is not a good state. So all the more reason that we need to be engaged, we need to be thoughtful, and we really are appreciative of being now connected to the ADL in a very serious way in which we can continue to do these kinds of programs that are not just informative, but also give us some practical things that we can do. Just a reminder, a few things coming up, of course, to join us for Shabbat services tomorrow morning, beginning at 9:30. And then, of course, you can join us for Torah study on Zoom at 12 o'clock. Reminder, next Shabbat, we will be, our Torah Women's Commentary Torah study will be led by Judy Hollander, so everyone to put that on their calendars. Also, just a reminder, this Sunday, Ruth Joseph's virtual book group will be meeting. It's a book group, but it's happening virtually on Zoom. January 29th, 11 o'clock. If you'd like to join the group, please do contact us in the office, and we'll be happy to give you Ruth's contact information to join with. Also, a reminder that the Maureen's Haven Shelter that is located at Christ Church down the street will be happening on Sunday as well. We really appreciate everybody who's already signed up to help and set up and cook and clean up. I believe we can always use a little bit more help if you can, but otherwise, it's really great to see again how well our community responds, especially when there are those who are in really desperate need, especially in these colder months. Also a reminder that next Wednesday, February 1st, is our next in the Film Shul series. So we're having our friends back to do a program that's called Straight Outta Brooklyn, which, as a Manhattanite is a tough one for me. I don't know, I have an interesting relationship with Brooklyn. But one thing that no one can deny, our sense of humor, it's our Jerusalem of sense of humor, I suppose, is the best thing. So many of our greats really come from that very special place. So we've had a really great time with our Film Shul classes. We've learned a lot of great stuff. And I think the guys are going to be ready with a lot of really great information, some history that perhaps we knew, and maybe a little bit of stuff we didn't know. So you can join us again on Zoom. That's Wednesday, February 1st at 7 o'clock. Also, just a reminder, this week, Nana Mitzvah is meeting at 11:30 on Monday. My class on Abraham and Joshua Heschel and his book on the prophets is at 12 o'clock on Zoom. Hebrew School will be meeting at 3 o'clock, and the Social Justice Committee will have its regular meeting on Zoom at 5 o'clock. Cantor, you got anything coming up at HUC? No. That's why he looks so relaxed.
Nothing coming up.
Nothing
of
coming.
course
No,
not.
Cantor had a rough week.
Yeah.
He's a busy guy at school.
Although I will
so-
admit that I did submit for signature my senior project proposal for my senior thesis. So hopefully that will get signed and that'll be good to go, and then I can start working on that and I can let everyone know about the topic hopefully next week.
Exactly. The cool thing is that Kevin's topic, which he'll tell us about more, is something that actually will, be an interesting, I'll say it, it's a benefit to our congregation for sure in
Yeah,
this study.
I'll be looking to try to
There's some
do
good
some
st-
things with it.
There's
so
some good stuff with that.
once it's official,
which
I'll let
is,
you know.
which is really great. And of course, just to wish everybody a Shabbat Shalom and to get home safe from here if you're with us, and to, of course, send our love to our friends who are watching on Zoom or on our live stream. So before we do Kiddush and Motzi, I think we were going to do Shalom Aleichem?
Yeah.
Good. Okay,
Let's do
so
Shalom
Debbie's
Aleichem.
Shalom Aleichem is a different melody than many of you may be familiar with, but it's on page 627. 627.
Nice. Found it on 142. Nice. Cool. Multiple places. Okay. That is a little off. The strings get much smaller up here, so capo doesn't work as well. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Boachem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon. Mi melech malachei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Baruchuni l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon, Mi melech malachei hamelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei HaMelachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shuvchem l'shalom, malachei hashalom, malachei elyon, Mi melech malachei hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Asharet, Malachei Elyon, Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh, HaKadosh HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
All right, I'll ask us to rise in body or in spirit as we do Kiddush on page 123, and then our Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam b'horei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav b'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon inchilanu zikaron lemahaseh v'reishit ki hu yom techila lemikrae kodesh zecher letziat Mitzrayim כי בנו בחרת, ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני, מקדש השבת. Amen. L'chaim to you, and Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Amen.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. There's challah and stuff waiting, and Daniela, it's great to meet you. I'm sorry, I'm still like all this stuff, but before you leave, Nicole and David. So Daniela is also KJ person, so this is exactly what I wanted to introduce you to. It's amazing how that works. And Nicole, I realized I never told Kevin. Kevin, they're looking for your singing ability at potentially at KJ. Are you tenor? You're a tenor?
Yeah. Possibly. Might have a conflict with Zamir Noded, but we will see.
Okay. So you know what?
Sure.
After Shabbos, we'll make sure. I'll make sure
Exactly.
he gets the contact.
Yeah.
But sorry, I forgot. Ashikov. That was beautiful. It's really tough.
Yeah, that's why I was looking at it so much before.
No, I understand. Explain a capo to me exactly, because I think